Chapter 4: The Western Ewago Region.
Get ready to embark on an epic expedition through my imagination as I explore the Instagram-acclaimed Leweka Region within 3 new ongoing series here on my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with these adventures, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course leave a comment down below to let me know what you think and what Pokemon you decide to capture on your adventures. And of course, please make sure to support all of the talented artists I commissioned and worked intimately with to bring all of my ideas to life, as I wouldn't be able to take you on all these exciting adventures through my imagination without their help, as well as all of the amazing voice actors featured in this series. So each chapter I'd like to give you the opportunity to get to know them as I ask them a new question relating to Leweka. The question in this video being what their favorite regional form from this project or the Leweka region is.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Ocean Clark, and I play Professor Baobab in Pokemon Legends Elemage. My favorite Lewekan form would have to be Lewekan, or should I say Chemian, Mudsdale. I think the steel typing is great, it looks amazing. I used Mudsdale for the first time in Sun and Moon, fell in love with it. I think the steelness gives it this very knightly chivalry feel. Feels very powerful and strong, but also very smart and loyal as well. I think it's a great design.
Hi everyone, my name is Destiny and I am the voice of Anaya. I would have to say my favorite Lewekan variant is Incineroar. On top of Lewekan Incineroar's awesome design, Incineroar's statistics equate to those of an absolute powerhouse. So I would have to have a Pokemon like Incineroar on my team.
Hey, it's your boys I know, and I just want to say my favorite regional form is definitely for alligator. Like, think about it. Have you ever seen an amazing water type or like 10 out of 10, 10 times cooler, which looks way more menacing? There's no other form that touches it at all, not even in the slightest. Like, if a alligator is at top 10, it's holding 1, 2, 3, 4 for all the slots in 10, and then you got all the rest of them. But for alligator, by far my favorite.
My dear niece and nephew, young Anaya and Chidi, please have a seat. Your Uncle Obasi would like to tell you a tale. It won't be long before you two are old enough to succeed your father as champion of the Leweka region. A role that, unlike other regions, comes with great responsibility as ruler of Leweka's citizens. As king or queen, it'll be up to you to look after both the fine people and all the miraculous Pokemon that call Leweka home. And as you know, Leweka is by far the largest of Pokemon regions.
This is because Leweka is made up of what used to be 6 neighboring Pokemon regions.
Show off.
To the south, you have the Karoo and the Florofimbos of the Ukuvu region, painting the Cape's coast. Upward, you have the vast jungle and swamps of the Takati region. To the west, you have the sprawling savannas and wastelands of the Ewago region. To the north, you have the ancient secrets hidden beneath the arid deserts of the Akam region. To the east, you have the Nakeup region's mountainous tundra surrounding Mount Milinjaro. And last but not least, off the east coast, you have a miraculous island full of rainforest and wetlands, known as the Wikwa region. This is the legend of how the kingdom of Leweka was formed. To the unification of these 6 ancient regions thanks to our brave ancestors.
You mean the first Baobab?
Don't forget champion.
That is correct, young ones. This is also the story of how the Baobab Bloodline, our noble family, came into power.
Grandma Tamala outdid herself again for lunch. Her babati is the best.
It's alright. At least it's not as heavy on the fruits and veggies as some of her other meals.
Well, now that our stomachs are full, we can return to the story.
Yes, I can hardly wait to hear about the Iwago region.
Ah, yes, I almost forgot where we left off. Our brave ancestor ventured from the jungles of the Takati region to the western Ewago region to try to form an alliance with the mighty warriors of the Ewago tribe, some of the strongest battlers and Pokemon trainers at this time, as they had to learn how to survive and protect themselves from the fierce predators found in the Ewago region. There weren't many places to hide in the wide open grasslands or wastelands of the Ewago region, as it was home to sprawling savannas unlike any of those found in any other kingdoms, housing various lakes and watering holes where wild Pokemon gather to cool off in the heat, along with vast valleys, gorges, and coastal plains making up its lowland areas, whereas its highlands include a number of grassy hills, mountains, and plateaus, many of which were filled with vegetation and even small forests, not to mention the region's infamous wretched wastelands, a desert-like environment void of life, outside of the Pokemon that are capable of living in such harsh conditions. This was the first area our ancestor had to traverse once entering the Ewago region.
This kind of area must have been quite jarring for our ancestors after coming from the floral Ukuvu region or lush Takati region.
Absolutely. There was even a barren area known as Holloway, where you'd see absolutely no Pokemon. Between the Ewago region's scorching sun and lack of shade in these more wide open areas, our ancestor had to rely on their water tribe Pokemon to keep them cool.
Ah, of course. I didn't think of that. Speaking of Pokemon, what kind of Pokemon were capable of living in the wasteland's harsh conditions?
Primarily rock and ground Pokemon such as the native Hyrox and Dastone, found all throughout the Ewago region, using their rocky fur to absorb sunlight. The Geodude line could be found amongst the rubble. Cubone and Marowak wandering aimlessly, coughing and wheezing, floating through the smog that covers most of this area, polluting it even more. Scavengers like Vullaby and Mandibuzz, the occasional Bramblin or Brambleghast rolling by. Reptiles such as Silicobra and Sandaconda slithering through the cracks of the blistering earth, along with Dunsparce and native Lizator and its evolution Ninkator of the Dragon tribe, which could toss the gold rings around their neck at their foes, energized with draconic energy using its signature move Dragon Ring, prevent the target from using dragon moves for 5 turns.
That sounds quite useful, given Dragon Tribe Pokemon are weak to other Dragon Tribe Pokemon.
Huh? No way, that can't be true. It makes 0 sense.
The same thing can be said for Ghost Tribe Pokemon.
I don't understand.
But that's the beauty of Pokemon, young Chidi. There are many mysteries surrounding them that we may never understand.
I'd sure love to learn as much as I possibly can about them, though.
Why, of course, as would I, young Anaya. Anyways, the wasteland area also had plenty of bug tribe Pokemon such as the Skorupi, Rellor, and Nimble lines, all of which having mysterious rebirth evolutions after evolving using the Soul Stone.
Sweet, I'll take one of each.
Me too.
The wretched wastelands weren't just scorched earth, but a dried up lake home to Pokemon such as Stunfisk flopping around, Cowardly Wimpod hiding under stones, and Dreadnought napping in the small pools of water that remained. Several withering trees gathered in large patches where forests once flourished, now housing Pokemon such as Trevenant, Brambleghast, Herbil, and Dracoon. Or treacherous tar pits our ancestors had to avoid stepping into, full of Pokemon such as Dirthog and Borear rolling around in the tar alongside Grimer and Monk, Krogunk and Toxicroak wrestling in the tar, Silicobra and Sandaconda swimming through it, or even the regional variant of Wooper and Clodsire.
Those Pokemon are native to the Paldea region, though, right?
Indeed. Although, as you know, regional variants aren't found exclusively in the regions they originate from. It usually depends on the climate or the environments more than anything.
I think Wooper, regardless of what form they are in, are just too cute.
You think Trubbish are cute?
That's because they are. Although I have hugged one before and I can confirm they don't smell cute.
Anaya, you know you shouldn't just hug wild Pokemon. They are unpredictable after all.
Yes, I know. It's just when I see a cute Pokemon, I just want to pet, pinch, or hug it.
You should really get that checked out, sis.
Now where was I? Ah yes. A now extinct ghost tribe variant of Flittle and Espathra could also be found in the Ewago region at this time. Ewagoi and Flittle run around the wastelands collecting berries and other ingredients to create potions and cast curses on those who have crossed them, usually alongside covens of Voodoo.
Oh, I just knew they'd get along with Voodoo.
Why indeed, they have quite a bit in common. Anyways, Flittle evolves into Ewagoi and Espathra. They use their bone talons to sprint through the wastelands at great speed, leaving a trail of cursed feathers in their wake for those unfortunate enough to pick one up.
And I would totally be dumb enough to pick one of those feathers up.
Hey, I'm many things, but I am not dumb. Although to be fair, if it's pretty enough, I would probably pick it up.
I knew it! So did this Pokemon have any special abilities or attacks?
It did indeed. It had a signature attack known as Cursed Talon, a ghost tribe attack that cursed its foe upon contact.
Wicked!
I couldn't have said it better myself. I'd love to catch one of these Pokemon. For such a barren place, it sounds like the wastelands were still home to a variety of Pokemon.
While that is a fine observation, you must keep in mind all of these Pokemon were still quite scarce and a lot harder to catch, let alone spot in the wretched wastelands. And of course, Ewago is home to the infamous Ryhorn graveyard. home to Pokémon such as Cubone and Marowak wandering around aimlessly, Vullaby and Mandibuzz circling above or picking at the corpse of the fallen Pokémon, restless Greavard and Houndstone looking to play, Duskull and Dusclops haunting these hallowed ground, as well as Limbo and Drowgrave buried beneath the ground, waiting to grasp hold of their next victim. Not to mention the mischievous Lewekan Poochyena, known at the time as Owagoian Poochyena and Mightyena, up to no good as they play dirty pranks on the other Pokémon. Not to mention the area's namesake, which I'm sure you two know as Lewekan Ryhorn and Rhydon, also unique to the Ewago region during this time.
Why do they look so sad?
Isn't it obvious? Because they're walking bags of bones.
See, as its name suggests, Rhyhorn's greatest asset is normally its horn, which holds great value, so much so that poachers today hunt them for their horns, as did the warriors of the Ewago tribe, as they used them to create weapons to stand up to the region's fierce Pokémon.
How
cool.
terrible!
Without their horns to protect themselves, Rhyhorn eventually withered away and rose from the grave as Ghost Tribe Pokémon, with their spirits flickering as flames where their horns used to be.
That's not only sad, but quite spooky.
You think that's bad? Wait till you see Lewekan, Owagoian Rhydon's rebirth evolution. The treacherous Revenant, who has regrown its stolen horn as a razor-sharp bone scythe.
How terrifying!
Quite terrifying indeed. And our ancestor even had to battle an Alpha Rhydon holding a Soul Ankh, and you know what that means.
That it can evolve into a sick rebirth evolution immediately after fainting.
Precisely, Cheaty. It seems you've been paying attention after all.
Why, of course. I think Pokemon Rebirth is just the coolest. Whether a rebirth form or a rebirth evolution, I can't wait to use it one day for myself.
I'm sure you will. Speaking of which, Mightyena also had a rebirth evolution, known as Hahaina.
It is somehow silly and scary. I love that.
You love everything.
Listen, children, I understand you are excited. We are not only at the halfway point of this tale, but the point in the story where things really start to heat up. So I'm going to have to ask you to both hold on to your questions and listen attentively so I can finish before your Baba comes to get you.
I'm sure Baba will let you finish, Uncle Abasi. But sure, I'll try my best.
As will I.
Now, as I was saying, this is where everything really started to heat up for our ancestor.
You mean when they meet a member of the Ewago tribe?
Cheaty, just listen.
Oops, my bad.
You aren't wrong. It was in the Ryhorn graveyard that they encountered Ewago tribe leader Diallo, an ancestor of Unova Elite 4 member and fighting type specialist Marshall, the strongest and most experienced warrior within the Ewago tribe, commanding fighting tribe Pokémon with the mystical power of Elemage's fighting tribe wand. But Diallo, like the rest of the people of the Ewago tribe, didn't just command their Pokémon, but fought valiantly beside them, using whatever weapons or resources they could find.
Whoa, now that's super cool. Sounds like something you'd see in the Furon region.
You mean the Transforge mechanic, allowing trainers to turn certain Pokemon into living magical weapons they would merge their aura with to fight alongside in battle.
Peculiar indeed, as many today believe such a method to be barbaric, myself included. But to be fair, there are many who will argue that this is the most intimate way to fight alongside your Pokemon. And the fact that the trainer actually enters the battle, fighting alongside their Pokemon, is far more humane than just sitting at the sideline calling out attacks as their Pokemon is engaged in a battle. And that's exactly how the tribe members of the Ewago tribe felt. That they couldn't rely solely on the strength of their Pokemon and should instead be fighting alongside them. Diallo's ace Pokemon was a fearless Combadge who was always picking fights with Pokemon much bigger or even stronger than it. Luckily, it had a Soul Ankh and a powerful rebirth form to call upon, so even when it did lose a fight, it picked itself back up even stronger. His Combadge would also use the sticky honey from its hive-like fist to trap their opponent, so together, the two of them could tag team their foes.
Marvelous! Sounds like they weren't just skilled fighters, but tacticians as well.
They certainly earned their place as tribe leader, that's for sure.
So I'm sure our ancestor had to battle this guy, right?
Well, he certainly challenged our ancestor to a battle to assess our ancestor's strength. However, their fight was interrupted by a member of the Akem tribe to the north.
Wait, what?
I second that. I myself certainly didn't see that coming. What were they doing in the Ewago region?
You see, they had come on behalf of the divine Pokémon they served, to warn Diallo and the Ewago tribe of the Divine Pokémon's plans to conquer the other 5 kingdoms, asking that they peacefully surrendered themselves, claiming things would get ugly otherwise.
There is no way our ancestor or even this Diallo dude took it from this lady.
You are correct. In fact, our ancestor told her that the Divine Pokémon stood no chance against the 5 divided kingdoms. But as the right hand to the Divine Pokémon, Nefrit was the closest thing the Akam region had to a tribe leader, as it was ruled by these deities, enslaving the people that lived there and making them do their bidding. So infuriated by our ancestor and the Ewago leader Diallo's rebuff, she challenged our ancestor to a Pokémon battle, which ended up being a double battle as our ancestor fought alongside tribe leader Diallo to try and take her down. Diallo used formidable fighting tribe Pokémon such as Grottroll and Scrafty, as well as his cunning Combadge and rambunctious Lucario, while Nefrit commanded ghost tribe Pokémon such as Tuvasol, depicting the 2 divine Pokémon she served, a speedy Espathra and a powerful Rhydon. While the fight wasn't easy, even with their combined strength together, they were able to defeat her. She then retreated back to the Akam region to report to the Divine Pokémon.
I'm sure they weren't happy to hear of her defeat.
I can't imagine so. Anyways, after working together, tribe leader Diallo, impressed by the strength our ancestor demonstrated in this fight, heard our ancestor's plea and idea to unite the 6 kingdoms in order to stand up to the Divine Pokémon, telling them to travel further into the region to meet them in their village so they could discuss this plan with the rest of the Ewago tribe. But first, they gifted our ancestor a Pokémon egg.
Oh my, what was in it?
After hatching it, they received fighting tribe member Tyrogue, which they could evolve into Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, or Hitmontop to better fit their fighting style.
Epic. I love fighting tribe Pokemon.
So from there, our ancestor passed the beautiful Enhydel Lake, filled with plenty of Pokemon we've discussed already, particularly of the Water tribe, with some new additions such as Wishy-Washy, which alone doesn't look like much, but quite intimidating in its school form.
Whoa!
This lake still exists today with Enhydel City built around it, a city known for its casino, shops, boutiques, and nightlife. It is generally the venue for large concerts and events within the region. It's also home to either Jembe's normal tribe gym or Talib's poison tribe gym, whom you two should be familiar with, as we've discussed both of their ancestors in the story already.
How could we forget? Professor Acacia has been a huge help to our ancestor, and Takashin tribe leader Kwame helped form the union with the Tekati and Ukuvu tribe.
Speaking of familiar faces, our ancestor was greeted by healer Sanyu at the lakeside. This is one of the moments from the story that really led me to believe Sanyu may in fact have ended up becoming our ancestor's queen, as the tale implies they had a lovely moment together, overlooking the lake at sunset.
Oh, how cute! I sure hope you're right, because I think it's sweet how she continued to stand beside our ancestor on their journey through the 6 kingdoms.
Gross, boring, literally no one cares. Please get on with the story.
Very well then. Our ancestor had to make their way through the Gallant Gorge, a giant canyon with a variety of Pokemon found along its base, such as the Leweka's native Lizzator line, the explosive Fire Tribe members Chardvark and Bombardillo, the Scraggy line using its thick skull to smash boulders, the Loudra line using their strong voice to echo through the canyon, or the Helioptile line sunbathing, as well as giant mounds made by the Fury native Fistmite line of the Bug and Fighting tribe. But primarily rock tribe members such as the native Hyrox and Dastone, once again disguised as boulders, along with Dwebble and Crustle, the Roggenrola family along the canyon walls or rolling around the base of the canyon, as well as plenty of ground tribe Pokemon like Sanakanda, Bunnelby and Diggersby hopping around, or if you were lucky enough, the fierce Garchomp line, which even today many trainers go through great efforts to find. Onix and Steelix, as well as other Steel Tribe Pokemon such as Orthworm and its native evolution Oralworm were tunneling around, Skarmory soaring above the canyon, Aeron and Lairon hiding in the caves or more shaded areas of the canyon to avoid the sun, as well as their new evolution Tritanium. But more on this Pokemon in a bit, as it's the monarch of this region. And another ground tribe line that can be found in the gorge is Ice Tribe Newsnow and Childebeest, which managed to stay cool beneath the smoldering sun using their snowy coat.
It doesn't melt in the sun?
It doesn't sweat like we do. Instead, its sweat instantly freezes, helping to maintain its icy cold coat regardless of the temperature.
How fascinating! I'm glad to see ice-dry Pokémon are able to thrive in Leweka despite its warmer climate. The ones we've discussed so far have only appeared at night when everything's cooled down.
And those same ice-dry Pokémon can be found at night here in the Ewago region as well. But one of the Pokémon most commonly found in the gorge is Ewago Trapinch. Ewago Trapinch, much like its Hawaiian variant, hides beneath the ground, patiently waiting to trap its prey with its strong jaw. But unlike its more commonly known form, it is also of the bug tribe. Ewago Trapinch also evolved into Ewago Vibrava, remaining a member of the bug tribe.
Wait, doesn't it evolve into Flygon in its final stage? You're telling me it wasn't already a bug tribe Pokemon?
Nope, but you wouldn't be the first to make that mistake.
I was talking to Uncle Abasi.
Unlike the Vibrava seen today, whose wings are not done growing and can only fly short distances, this variant's wings were fully formed and could fly around freely.
I can already imagine them flying around the canyon. And did this variant still evolve into Flygon?
Absolutely. Ewago and Flygon, being a member of both the bug and dragon tribes, could be found soaring all throughout the Ewago region's canyons, valleys, and mountain ranges. The flapping of its wings could create large sonic vibrations that startled most and can often echo throughout the canyons or mountain ranges, causing landslides. Its signature move, Buzz Burst, is a powerful bug tribe move that would startle its targets, usually causing them to be confused. It was even one of the ride Pokémon our ancestor was able to call upon to soar through the sky, but like the other ride Pokémon we've discussed so far, it served more than one purpose. Like Zebstrika, who could not only run at great speeds, but perform large jumps, or Verdevour, who is not only used to climb cliffs or trees, but swing from them. Ewago and Flygon could be used to fly through the sky and also create loud sonic vibrations in the air around it, disturbing airborne Pokémon and causing them to land on the ground below, making them a lot easier to capture.
Now that is quite useful indeed. I can imagine catching Pokémon flying through the sky would be quite challenging otherwise.
I can't say I've ever tried, but it certainly doesn't sound easy. Anyways, while traveling through the gorge, our ancestors saw large footprints and other signs of the region's monstrous monarch. However, they weren't the only ones looking for this monarch.
Let me guess, someone from the Ewago tribe.
Or maybe the Akim tribe were after it?
Neither. It was actually a member of the Eastern Nakeup tribe. And not just any member, but the leader of the Nakeup tribe. Steel-type specialist Jabari, who is said to be an ancestor of former Galar champion Peony and his older brother Chairman Rose. The name Jabari means brave, and brave he was indeed. He ventured all the way from the Nakeup region, making him vulnerable to the Divine Pokémon in order to capture this monarch Pokémon, as he was in possession of the Steel Tribe Wand, and it was rumored to be a member of the Steel Tribe. So he figured if anyone could stop the rampaging monarch, it would be him, and it would make the perfect weapon if he and his people of the Eastern Nakeup region, living on top of Mount Kilimanjaro, were to end up having to defend themselves from the Divine Pokémon. Jabari would do anything to protect his region and people. So, after hearing our ancestor was also searching for this monarch Pokémon, he ended up challenging them to a battle, as he didn't travel all this way to walk away empty-handed. In this battle, he commanded sturdy Steel Tribe Pokémon such as the Leweka native Earthworm evolution Oroworm, Skarmory, and Caparaja, used by both of his descendants. Jabari believed the best offense was a good defense, which is the same ideology he used not only in Pokémon battles, but to protect his members of the Nakeup tribe. As they found refuge on the snow-topped Mount Kilimanjaro, where they were far out of the Divine Pokémon's reach.
Similar to how the people of the Takati tribe hide in the treetops of Canopy's village.
Precisely.
Meanwhile, the people of Ukuvu seemed unfazed by the Divine Pokémon living wide open here in Husa village.
Don't forget the Ukuvu tribe was protected by the psychic visions of tribe leader Nandi, which was how they were able to protect themselves from the power-hungry Divine Pokémon, at least during her reign.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That actually makes a lot of sense. But how did the Ukuvu tribe manage to do so before her reign?
What an excellent question. I sadly do not have an answer for you, as it is not included in the scripture of this legend, but this gift has been said to be passed down to Psychic Tribe leader Davu today. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of the previous members of this bloodline carried this same psychic ability.
I wish I had psychic powers. I'd never lose a Pokemon battle if I could read my enemies' minds.
Well, I'm not sure that's how this ability works, but I myself have always wondered what it would be like to have a special ability like this, as there are other humans documented throughout the ages to have similar supernatural abilities. Okay, this is exactly why I asked you two to hold on to your questions until the end, because I have enough trouble staying on topic as it is.
My apologies, Uncle Obasi. I'm just so enthralled by all of these.
I understand. Now where did I leave off?
Our ancestor was battling Nakap leader Jabari and his Steel Tribe Pokemon.
Ah yes. After defeating Jabari, our ancestor was able to make their plea to have the Nakap region unite with the others to stand up to the Divine Pokémon.
Without having to travel all the way to the Nakap region too. Oops, I'm sorry.
Ah yes. While intrigued by this offer and by our ancestor's strength, Jabari said he had to put the safety of his people first and felt waging war against the Divine Pokémon. Like this could only make matters worse if they failed. He would definitely think about it, but his main priority and best defense against any future attacks was capturing the King of the Canyon, who sadly was nowhere to be found at the moment. But Jabari said this seemed to be the stomping ground of the monarch, so he was going to continue to camp out and wait for it to return. However, our ancestors still had to meet up with the powerful warriors of the Ewago tribe to try to convince them to join forces with the Akuvu and Takati tribe. Before doing so, our ancestor had to traverse the sprawling savannah area, filled with far too many Pokemon to name of various tribes.
Ah, of course. Now I know this is the area that first comes to my mind when thinking of the Iwago region.
I think that is the case for most people, as this area is easily the largest of the Ewago region, and even one of the largest areas in the entire kingdom of Leweka, matched by only the vast jungles of the Takati region and the Yakam region's expansive desert. The grasslands of the sprawling savannah had some of the region's fiercest predators, like Rorschach, Pyroar, Lipard, or the wicked fast Bolta line consisting of the electric tribe cub, Bolta, and its electric and fire tribe evolutions, Hita and Thunder, both leaving scorch marks behind their wake as they raced through the savannas at lightning-fast speeds. Native Pokemon such as Dirthog and Borear, or the troublemaking Chardvark always looking to start a fire, and its evolution the powerful Bombadillo, Jerbean and Herbil scurrying through the grass along with Shroomish and Breloom, Patrat and Watchhog on the lookout for flying tribe predators like Vullaby and Mandibuzz, or Staravia and Staraptor, as well as a line native to the Leweka region, Fire and Flying tribe Hupyro and its evolution Volcrane, whose fiery feathers burn stronger in the sunlight.
Oh wow, I don't remember hearing of those two before, but they're both so cute!
There were also Pokemon such as Zebstrika or Zapel, grazing in the grass along with Giraffarig and Farigiraf.
Sorry to interrupt, but I thought Zebstrika was a psychic tribe at this time.
Ah, that variant was only found in the Akuvu region. Elsewhere, you still find the Zebstrika we know today.
Interesting. Please, continue.
You could also find Pokemon such as Heracross, Apom, Laverne, and Dracoon in the trees, along with hives of Combi with Ceratal and Combedge on the prowl for their sweet honey to strengthen their sticky sweet coats. The sprawling savannah also consisted of a large rock structure known as Ruler's Rock, where you could find packs of Pyroar or Nidoking and Nidoqueen reigning over the Pokemon below, or plenty of rough rock tribe Pokemon such as the Tyranitar, Onyx line, and Gigalith lines. A waterfall known as Warrior Falls, housing fighting tribe Pokemon such as Krogunk and Toxicroak, or Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan roughhousing. There was also a series of massive watering holes where a variety of Pokemon from the grasslands would come to cool off or get a nice cool drink, including Pokemon such as Fanfi or Dumfan, not to mention Pokemon such as flocks of Incubus or Flamigo wading in the shallow waters, as well as the Frogato line, Hippowdon, Crocodile lines, and the Owagoian, Claytle, and Oddloam submerged in the water.
Iwagoian Claytle? I don't think we've discussed that Pokemon yet. Isn't that normally a Pokemon native to the Firin region?
That's correct, Anaya. The variant found in the Firin region today is of the Ground tribe, while this ancient variant was of the Ground and Water tribes. Ewago and Claytol would cool off and relax bathed in the waters of the Ewago region to help cool off their clay coat, resulting in its more muddy appearance. Ewago and Claytol would evolve into Odloam. Like its offspring, Ewago and Odloam would often be found lounging around in the water. Although it was very protective of the water and would charge at anyone who dared enter its family's bathing area. This Pokemon even had a signature attack known as Mud Bash, hurling its muddy wet body at the foe.
Sick. Sounds like my kind of move.
This was a Pokemon any trainer at the time would be lucky to have on their team. And while it was most commonly found in the Ewago region, it could also be found in parts of the neighboring Akam region, or even as far as the Nakeup region. Like in the other regions we've discussed so far, you could also find Leweka starter Pokemon in the wild, with Gurut and its evolutions being found in the grasslands of the sprawling savannah, grazing with Pokemon such as Girafarig. Hasir and its evolutions proudly slithering around Woolerok, and Jimfin and its evolutions drinking or playing in or around the watering hole.
How wonderful! I hope to one day be able to capture all 3 starters. And I'm sad that the starters and their special evolutions of this time are no longer found in Leweka today.
Staples like Pikachu and Eevee could also be found here as well.
So, did our ancestor find the Ewago tribe within the savannah?
Not quite. This area was their training ground against the region's strongest predators. But with the biomes, trees, and shelter being so scattered, it didn't produce much protection from the Divine Pokémon. The Ewago tribe was even further west, within the valleys and mountain ranges of the region. But they did manage to find one of the Ewago tribe members, Nala, ancestor of one of your father's royal guard and Elite Four member, Nia.
Ah, so I bet, like Nia, she too specialized in electric tribe Pokemon.
Yes, but also an ancestor of the Alola region's trial captain and fire tribe specialist, Kiawe. She also used fire tribe Pokemon.
Wait, so she wielded both the electric and fire tribe wand at once?
Right again.
No way. That is so cool.
Because of this, she also liked to partake in double battles, using both electric and fire tribe Pokemon. And like Nia, she was always eager to battle. She loved the thrill of the fight and challenging herself however possible.
Just like me.
Don't make me remind you that you don't even have a Pokemon yet.
Don't forget, the members of the Ewago tribe were skilled warriors who would enter the battle alongside their Pokemon. She'd often ride on the back of her Thunder to race through the savannah, who, like her descendant Nia, was her ace Pokemon. And using a Soul Onk, she'd call upon its ravaging rebirth form after fainting, which was not only even faster than before, but a lot stronger as well in its delivery of both electric and fire tribe attacks.
What a gorgeous Pokemon!
You could say that again. After being defeated, Nala vowed to become even stronger, telling our ancestor what an honor it was to battle them.
Sounds like she was a good sport about it at least.
Win or lose, she just enjoyed Pokemon battling, especially ones as challenging as this. From there, she guided our ancestor to the Ewago tribe's village in the valley, but first, they had to make their way through the region's coastal plains, where various Pokemon primarily of the water tribe could be found, such as the Ewago and Claytol line, the Corfish line, Dupiter line, and Aracuda line, and flying tribe members such as the Chibi line, Englewing line, Flamigo, and Cramorant. And even more Pokemon along its beaches such as the Slowpoke and Slowbro napping under the trees, or even Executor, flocks of Wingull and Pelipper, Shellos and Gastrodon along the shore, Wimpod and Gastrodon hiding in the crashing waves, Sandygast and Palosine within the sand. Out at sea you find even more Pokemon such as the Seaguar line, Wilmer line, Lapras, and Leweka natives such as Diminfin and Brandfish, as well as a Leweka tribe line native to Leweka even to this day, known as Pinifi or Donphinny, who would roll around the beaches, often seen splashing around in the ocean waves.
Ah, another cutie! I just want to squeeze them! Wait a minute, now that I think about it, they look a lot like Fanfi and Donphan. Are they related at all?
Another fine observation, my young Professor Baobab. Many do believe they could be possibly related, as the resemblance is uncanny. After making their way up the coast, our ancestor made it to the valley, filled with a variety of Pokemon such as the Tortempo and the Kricketot lines, as well as Dragon Tribe members such as the Dratini, Gumi, Axu, and Bagon lines. Here they found the village of the Ewago tribe right beside a small river, known as Valof Village. They tried to convince the Ewago tribe to fight alongside them with the help from tribe leader Diallo and Nala. But one of the tribe members, Ganiro, seemed to have a problem with this proposal.
I already don't like this guy. He sounds like a jerk.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I kind of agree with you, Chidi. Is he related to anyone we might know today?
I don't think so. But his descendants are said to live in the Fearin region today, and like him, specialize in dragon Pokémon.
So he must have possessed the Dragon Tribe Wand.
Yes, and with it formidable dragon tribe Pokémon such as Ewago and Vibrava, Alagypt, Gabite, and Ninkator. Defeating Ganiro and his dragon Pokémon wasn't easy, but after doing so he was not only on board with the Union, but helped our ancestor call upon the ride Pokémon we discussed earlier, Ewago and Flygon, which was used to fly to the top of the mountain ranges, which were home to even more Pokémon, primarily of the flying tribe. Once reaching the plateau of these highlands, our ancestor was able to get a good view of the region down below and spot the rampaging monarch Pokémon they needed to soothe, as it was apparently injuring other Pokémon within the region, and not even the warriors of the Ewago tribe could take on this monstrous monarch.
Were they able to spot it?
Yes, they saw it charging back towards the gorge it is normally found in, where Nakab tribe leader Jabari was waiting to battle and capture it.
Was he able to do so?
Unfortunately not. By the time our ancestor flew down to the base of the gorge, this monarch Pokémon had already defeated Jabari. Jabari lent our ancestor his Steel Tribe Wand and its magical powers for this battle so they could help him capture it, so he didn't go back to his people empty-handed.
You still haven't told us about the monarch Pokemon.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but all we really know about this Pokemon is it's an ancient evolution for Ryhorn in place of Aggron.
That is correct. At this time, Ryhorn evolved into Tritanium. Tritanium was a member of the Steel Tribe, and unlike Aggron or its pre-evolutions, it was no longer a member of the Rock Tribe.
That's peculiar. Outside of Rebreath, I haven't heard of Pokemon losing types like that.
Strange, sure, but it's not unheard of. There are several examples of this, including its relative Aggron after Mega Evolving. Many scholars believe Aggron's Mega Evolution to be more closely related to Tritanium. Many believe this is why it's losing its rock typing after Mega Evolving.
How fascinating! I can't wait to one day learn more about this and similar coincidences throughout Pokemon species.
Tritanium was easily the toughest of the monarchs our ancestor had to face yet, with its sharp iron horns and wrecking ball tail being quite devastating as well. It even has a signature move known as Wrecking Ball that could demolish its foes' defenses.
That sounds awesome.
And like the other Monarch Pokemon, I'm sure it was also holding Soul Ankh and had a Rebreath form.
That is correct. The King of the Canyon was truly terrifying in its Rebreath form, which oddly enough resembles Aggron and its Mega Evolution, as it was now standing on its two hind legs. It rampaged through the gorge, charging at its foes, causing rock slides from the canyon walls after each attack as well, which our ancestor had to avoid in addition to its charging attacks. It would also pick up and throw large boulders at our ancestor if they managed to get too far away from it. In close combat, it could also use its Wrecking Ball tail, swinging it at our ancestor and destroying everything in its path. Even things like the trees and boulders our ancestor would normally use to hide behind and evade its attacks. And Tritanium's attacks, if they landed, also took a huge chunk of health.
Well, that sounds super scary.
And not only were its attacks devastating, but it itself was a tank, with our ancestor and their Pokemon's attacks barely leaving a scratch, meaning our ancestor had to pick their Pokemon wisely and spend most of the battle running and hiding from Tritanium, as exposing themselves or getting too close would cost them the battle. But our ancestor, with help from Jabari's magical Steel Tribe Wand, was able to defeat the King of the Canyon, and it was now in possession of the Steel Tribe Wand's holder, Jabari, who came all this way to take this beast and was thrilled to bring it back home to his people, feeling a sense of relief and security with this powerhouse on his team. In fact, thanks to our ancestor's help and demonstrated strength, he agreed to have the people of the Nakab region unite with the other tribes, but said he would have to first speak to his people about this union and see how they felt, but he would try his best to convince them. Tribe leader Diallo and the rest of the Ewago tribe witnessed the end of this battle and cheered, claiming our ancestor was one of the strongest warriors they had ever seen, and that they would be honored to fight beside them and the other tribes against the Divine Pokémon.
Hearing how all these different regions and their tribes were able to put their differences aside and come together is just so beautiful.
Well, if you think about it, these regions are all divided by invisible lines that we as a society create. If you remove such barriers, you'll realize we all have much more in common than you think. I think many people tend to forget that.
I just love a happy ending.
Well, this story is far from over yet, and these celebrations were cut short by the Divine Pokémon, Horaskai and Cetera, rulers of the northern Akam region. They suddenly appeared within the canyon, Horaskai swooping down from the sky above, bringing with it a sandstorm within the gorge, and Cetera jumping from the top of the canyon, making the earth shake, both of which trapping our ancestors and the others on either side.
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting to battle Divine Pokemon so soon.
They didn't. Our ancestor and Jabari were both too weak after their fights against the monarch. The Divine Pokémon were here after the servant Nefrit failed to capture our ancestor and tribe leader Diallo. Having heard of this proposed union, the Divine Pokémon were infuriated. They said they should surrender, or they'd all be captured by force. This was their last warning.
At least they let them off with a warning.
Oh, that wasn't all. Horaskai spread its wings and flew into the air, picking up Ewago tribe leader Diallo with its large talons, and Cetera ran after Hilasanyu, picking her up before lunging out of the canyon.
What? They took the Ewago tribe leader and healer Sanyu hostage?
That is correct. This frightened those remaining, as they had no idea how they'd be able to stand up to the Divine Pokémon and rescue them. Jabari, for starters, didn't want to ignore the Divine Pokémon's warnings and risk infuriating them even more. So he said all bets were off, as after what he had just witnessed, there was no way he could find it in his people's best interest to oppose the Divine Pokémon, even with his newly obtained Tritanium, but that he was terribly sorry and that he wished them all well.
What a coward. So rather than help and save 2 kidnapped people from the Divine Pokemon, he just took the monarch Pokemon our ancestors caught from and ran off.
So what did our ancestor and the rest of the Ewago tribe decide to do after that? I'm sure our ancestor wouldn't just leave Healer Sanyu like that.
Why, of course not. With help from Ganiro, our ancestor planned to continue their journey into the Akam region to rescue Hilasanyu and tribe leader Diallo, while Nala would act as tribe leader, staying behind to look after and lead the rest of the Ewago tribe in the meantime, as they couldn't afford to leave them defenseless in case the Divine Pokémon came back or discovered their plans.
So a rescue mission. I can't wait.
Me either.
Well, our ancestor didn't just have to rescue these two, but the entire Akam region, as all of its people were imprisoned by the Divine Pokémon and forced to do their bidding, even to battle each other, much like we have Pokémon battle today.
How savage. These Divine Pokemon weren't playing.
I can't wait to hear what happens next.